Welcome, fellow travelers. My name is Demon Queen Rikka, and I'm joining Chibi and Virtek at the Golden Feather. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
Hello, and welcome to the Golden Feather Tavern, where your hosts, Chibi and Virtek, discuss Ashes of Creation and important topics spoken about within the Ashes community. Every week, we invite you, the viewer, and a special guest to pull up a chair, grab a pint, and join the conversation with us. And today is the 27th of July, 2024, and we're on episode 217. Pandemonium, the madness. And the traveling bard joining us today is Demon Queen Rikka. How are you today?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. Yeah. And Chibi, how are you doing today, and what do we have on tap?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. I am actually happy that we're moving these over to Saturdays because that gives me a lot more time to get everything together. And today we're going to be talking about some kind of hot topics. Okay. First off, Transmog. I know people got some thoughts on that. And the second one is factions within Ashes. And then additionally, some random topics brought up either by you guys in our chat, or we have a couple extra picked out just in case. Kind of like a running list. But of course, the most important topic of all is our guest. Yeah.
Well, thank
you. Welcome in. Welcome to being the bard for the week.
Haven't been a bard before. New for me.
Yeah. It's funny because somebody was like, "I'm not a bard. I'm a tank," and I was like, "No. Like the typical idea of a bard, you know, like where you're telling a story. You're telling us your story." And they're like, "Oh."
Maybe we should change it to our amateur visiting bard.
Amateur visiting bard. First time bard, long time listener.
Bard in training. There we go.
I could be a bard in training.
Oh my gosh, I respect. He says I can bardly wait until Wednesday. Speaking of Wednesday, are you looking forward to bard, and what class are you looking to play?
I am actually. I'm very excited to see what exactly bard will have to offer. I think it's going to be something a lot of people are very excited for. I myself am a healer, so I am already on that cleric train, full speed ahead. But I'm excited for it nonetheless.
Yeah, same. So I'm taking it when you say healer, you're looking at either cleric or bard.
Full on cleric.
Full on cleric.
Okay.
I can appreciate that. Same.
Yes. I was gonna say you may have found a peer in Chibi here.
Yeah, I see that. I always play healers.
On the official Ashes of Creation Discord, I'm cleric Chibi Bree.
Oh, cute.
So everybody knows I am cleric. Is it too late to join the beta? We're not even in beta yet.
Not yet.
We haven't even hit Alpha 2.
Yeah, the Alpha, they're going to be opening up sales to get into the Alpha 2, though. But it's going to be just Alpha 2.
Yeah. Cleric High Priest, nice, Yolis. I don't know about that, Viking. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I was going to ask, what is Pandemonium? How did you come up with that name? And is it Ashes of Creation specific, or is it from another game?
So Pandemonium is going to be a Tolnar specific guild. You're going to try to have at least 95% Tolnar.
Okay.
It was kind of a weird thing how it happens.
I'm curious.
Yeah, you know, most are. I actually picked up a alpha package probably, I think 3 years ago now. It feels like forever ago. But I was looking at human just because, you know, good old-fashioned human, very general, very useful. Everybody can play it, no big deal. But there were already quite a few already around for role players and PvE alike. So I started looking at other things, and I got some interest in the lore of Tolnar. The Pandemonium name actually came from two things. One, ashes, of course, but also because Tolnar can be so many different types of creatures. It's going to be chaos. You're going to look at so many different things. You'll never know what type of creature you're going to find in the guild or in the node when it becomes one.
Fair. Fair.
And it's not only ashes. I'm very small for a guild at the moment, but I have a lot of core players that came with me from Final Fantasy or WoW. Mostly WoW is when we started. We've just kind of gotten bigger and bigger. Some aren't in the Discord yet because they're a bit shy. I'll drag them to ashes yet. It'll happen. But that's where we are currently.
We have a couple people in our Nexus guild that we're hoping to drag into ashes as well.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's the tricky part about getting a guild together so far before the official launch of a game, right?
Mhm.
Trying to keep people active and engaged by playing other games, and so you pick up new guild members in those games, and next thing you know, they're like, what is Ashes even 6 months later after they join?
Yep, that's been happening a lot lately. They're like, okay, so you said you're over in Ashes. You said that you're in like an admin for one of the roleplay discords. Tell me what it is. Come on, out with it.
Roleplay. Yes, please.
Yes.
But yeah, real Stim Shady. We are waiting for the next dev stream, which is soon, TM, and we will hopefully be getting an announcement for the Alpha 2 date. And I don't know if they're going to be giving us the key announcement for that, for purchasable timeframes and or cost, but we're kind of on standby for that at the moment as well. But also more importantly, getting to know about the Bard. So very excited. Something that they've teased us a couple of times with.
Yes.
So very excited to see how that actually turns out. What kind of things does Pandemonium intend to do in Ashes?
Okay. Pandemonium is going to be a divine node. We are going full into religion. We are hoping to take a node within, of course, the Underrealm where we're from. Hopefully, since we're divine node, we can look into that special raid we hear at Metropolis level. That's the hope. Get into the crypts. It'll be fun. We are, of course, PvE centered, but we love our roleplay. But most of the people in there, we just really want to get in there and experience the content. Most of our wants are, of course, we're tired of how MMOs are, much like everyone else. You just want it to get immersed. You want to get in there, and that's not what a lot of them do anymore. Right.
That's fair. You said you're PvE focused with RP. How do you think Pandemonium will overcome the obstacles of open world PvP and the different kind of difficulties that brings? PvE content?
No, definitely. We are still gonna do PvP. It's just more of, we're not going after the game with the idea of, oh, PvP is our end game. We very much are raid centered people. We want to do dungeons and raids. PvP will happen. You will not take our node from us, so we will not back down on that. There will be some fun for PvP. I feel very much that PvP does go hand in hand with PV a lot. You can't really experience a full game without doing so, especially with Ashes. So it's definitely not that we aren't prepared for it, and we are all pretty organized people, so I'm not overly concerned in that regard. I just don't feel that we're centered that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. I know that Vertec, you've spoken a couple of times on your worries about open world PvP and how that's going to affect PvE players. So I'd be very curious to, even like after Alpha 2, kind of get your thoughts on how you guys are experiencing testing in Alpha 2 with open world PvP as primarily a PvE focused guild, and how a lot of your guild mates are feeling about that, your guild members.
Yeah, because maybe more accurately, it's more like I feel that there's not enough dedicated PvE activities, and that,
I can see that.
Yeah, there's enough PvP interfering with it. It would reduce the quality of that.
Yeah, I can see that. PvP is going to be a big struggle, especially for PvE-centered people or focused. They're going to get it whether they want it or not, most likely.
Yeah. So it'd be really cool to have like you back on a little bit after to see how that how your guild feels about everything. I mainly say that because a lot of people that I know, they're all super into PvP or PvX, so it's hard to find other PvE players that are getting that experience. But Vertek, do you have any questions before I just keep asking? I want to give you a chance to ask them too.
Oh, I'm good. You were on a roll. If you have others,
I am on a roll.
I'm
going.
By all means.
Alrighty. So another question that I have for you is, I'm gonna hold off on like the big question because that's gonna take us into the rest of the podcast. But why Ashes of Creation? What about Ashes of Creation kind of inspired you to start following?
Yeah, so I did find it when it was still a Kickstarter. I wish I would have backed it right before it wasn't anymore. But I was kind of watching it for a while. I had kind of gotten burned out on WoW and Final Fantasy. I was switching over to like ESO and Guild Wars, just trying to find somewhere that was itching what I wanted. I just couldn't really find it. I watched the Kickstarter for a while. I kind of just like lingered around, kind of just curious to see if it was going to maybe be a better BDO, so to speak. Like, oh, maybe it'll be like Black Desert, open world. I can go and have PvE stuff, but maybe it won't be as brutal in the PvP. But as I kind of kept watching like the various streams and stuff, I was like, actually, maybe this is what I was looking for. And then I started dragging my guildies into it. So we have quite a few backers also around the time that I did. So I think we have 3 or 4 that got behind it right when I did.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's because I mean, I met not only Vertek through Ashes of Creation, but my entire guild through Ashes of Creation. So I don't think I really dragged many people at all into Ashes from my personal life, to be honest. I feel like the people that I used to know, either they've come into Ashes themselves, like Turgo Live is somebody that I used to know back when we were playing Overwatch with them, so I never expected him to get into Ashes. Although he has gotten into World of Warcraft, so that kind of progression makes sense. But outside of that, like the only other person I can think of might be like my dad. But all my other like friends and family, they're just not really into video games the way that I am. And I'm like, that's fine. I have my friends online. We're fine. What does recruitment look like for you in Alpha 2 or beyond? Like, is recruitment a priority during Alpha 2? Are you just using it to test out how you want to run the guild?
So I think right now it's kind of, I guess the best way to put it is lazy, mostly because there isn't a lot of Tolnar info. There's a lot of people looking and kind of waiting. So I have quite a few people that I know are interested, but they're waiting to look like, oh, what are the female models of Tolnar going to look like? Well, what are the architecture of Tolnar going to look like? So they're just kind of in this waiting phase. So I haven't been aggressive with recruiting because I don't want to drag people into it that are going to be like, oh, that's not the appearance I want for my role play, or that's not the theme I want for my like story role play, or etc.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. There's a lot of people like, I'm super excited for Pyre, but there's a lot of people that are like, oh, they have branchlers. No,
I think it's cute.
And I'm like, come on, branchlers, that's so cool.
No, I do have one question.
Sure.
Out of curiosity.
Yes.
Not sure if you have put much thought into it, or the guild as a whole has, but what do you feel that you folks might be hoping for when it comes to the Tolnar aesthetic? Like when they start to define what a Tolnar metropolis would look like, and how their existing, you know, quote unquote existing structures that already are hanging out maybe in the underworld are going to look like.
So I think that me and my guildies have some various opinions, of course, but I think the one that is sticking the most is, if Tolnar is supposed to be descendants from the original races, why can't the architecture be themed similar to the original races? So if you have like, look at just any of the base races, why can't it be like that but slightly different? Whether that's just picking up, like you said, the Alar and just being like, this is what our kingdom looks like, but then there's like a little bit of mushroom growth or like a little bit of bioluminescence going on. It could be interesting that way. I don't think that's probably going to be what happens, unfortunately, though it would be cool seeing that their roots come from the original races. The big hope that they all seem to have right now is more like a dark gothic-y or maybe like more Cthulhian look for their structures. They really want it to be creepy. They very much want it to be. I don't know what it will be though. It could honestly be a mixed bag. It could go towards like a more Aztec feel, but who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It almost seems like they're currently on a route for making it like they had to hide underground for the longest time, so that's where all their building stuff had to come from. They couldn't like mass manufacture large cement bricks or anything.
Right, yeah.
What it seems like so far, but we'll see.
I mean, we could see a bunch of like mushroom houses, honestly.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if you know. I mean, you said you play D&D, so I don't know if you know Critical Role very well.
I do, yes.
But when you said Call of Cthulhu, my brain went, oh, Cthulhu. Oh, no.
Great.
But I wonder what kind of creatures are in the depth of the sea that, could be. Oh, Cthulhu. So the biggest question I have, being that you are PvP, or not PvP, PvE, roleplay.
Right.
How do you feel about transmogs?
I feel transmogs are very important to a player's overall thought process of how they view and see their character. That's a simple way of putting it, because I know where this is going.
You know where this is going. But do you think that do you feel like transmogs kind of make it hard for seeing like visual progression over time, or do you think that if instead you can actually use that to show your visual progression over time?
I think there's kind of two ways to look at it. So in Ashes, we do know that some appearances will be locked behind achievements that may very well be quite hard to get. So in that case, it would definitely be a way of showing your progression, because how did you get it unless you're able to get it?
Right.
Another thing is, when you think of progression and transmog, the only real reason I can think of not showing transmog is if you're looking for a PvP fight. You're looking at what they're wearing to know if you outgear them so you can get in there and immediately kill them. And honestly, PvP is a risk versus reward. You should have that risk when you're running in there, regardless of being able to see what they're wearing.
Right. And I think we'll get into that in a minute here.
I figured.
Vertec and I have some thoughts on that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something real quick, Vertec?
No, I was just saying, yeah, we should probably save most of that conversation.
Well, the first one that I want to talk about is going back to the importance of visual progression. This post is by Blip on the forums, and he generally is suggesting a toggle for cosmetics. So being able to hide other people's cosmetics for the sake of visual progression. And actually, a couple of people said that they'd even be willing to pay a monthly subscription to get such a toggle option in the game. Additionally, other people said that, some people buy the cosmetics so that not only like do they look good for themselves, they look good for other people. And so turning it off would kind of ruin what they're trying to portray. And then still others had mentioned, like having a toggle will lower the value of the cosmetic. So like me spending X amount of time or money to pay for this cosmetic and then applying it, and then you spending money to turn it off. I don't know how that, correlates exactly. Overall, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care if you toggle off my cosmetic. I'm in the camp of this is for me. I want myself to look good, and I don't really care if you want to toggle off my cosmetic. But what are your thoughts, Rikka?
So I have quite a few when it comes to this in particular. The first thing is to look at it in the more drastic version. I do think that if cosmetics have a lot of effects that are going to cause my computer strain, then yes, there should be some way of lowering them or turning them off. Like if you have shoulders, I guess WoW is a great example that has like flames ejecting off of them. Yeah, maybe I might want to be able to turn off an effect like that. Maybe my computer isn't good enough, for example.
Right.
But in terms of like just I have a transmog, I want to turn it off. I think that you're paying for a transmog, like you said, so you can see it. But also, if you look at all the role players as well, they're doing that so you can see them how they want to be seen.
Right.
If you're paying, say, $20 for an outfit and someone's paying $20 to turn it off, why do they get to choose what my character looks like?
Right.
So I guess the only thing I could say in terms of them being able to turn it off would be an extreme. There was a very old game called Vindictus, which is not a good game now, but aside from the point, it had a toggle in the options menu to put everyone in robes. Everyone.
Interesting.
Just so you didn't have any lag for it. It didn't mean you can pick and choose, just everyone was in just basic brown robes. I think that's a decent way to look at it, because then that's clearly an option for your computer optimization.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Corvin, for the stretch and the hydrate.
Stretch and hydrate.
Oh, that felt great, actually. I did the gym earlier, so a good stretch is always nice.
Always.
So yeah, for me, I think visual progression is going to exist even with transmogs, because it's highly unlikely someone's going to say, hey, I got this really cool item and I'm going to hide it. Just to hide it at all times. It seems kind of weird. Now, if you just get like a really good set, then I mean, whatever. Like, if you're going into PvP, again, risk versus reward, like, why should you be able to assess every single thing about somebody from a distance?
Very much so. Like, that's my only fear, is they're going to take advantage of that. If it's just, oh, well, I can turn it off for everyone, but they don't have it off for me. Now you have an extra reward that they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're already deciding to engage in PvP. That's why you're assessing the person. And if you're assessing the person, why should you be able to assess everything from a distance? You should have to be getting into combat, right?
Sure.
It's kind of the same thing for, you know, looking at the health bar. You don't see the full health bar. You just see kind of a vague guess at where it's at in quarters.
Right. I agree with that.
Now, the other part of it is legitimately, it's going to be very, very difficult to visually assess everything anyway, because for one set of armor, every race is going to have their own different visual version of that armor. It's going to be a racial version of that armor. They're not just resizing it and shaping it for each race. They're creating a whole racial version of that armor. So it's going to look different on everybody. You could literally take it off of a Vec, sell it to a dwarf, and it's going to have a different appearance on it. They're just going to be able to take it off, put it on, it's going to immediately look different. So
right.
Good luck remembering all of that. That's why I believe Steven said that there was going to be there was intended to be anyway, depending on how like testing and all that it works out. But there's going to be a visual indicator of what type of armor and like set bonuses and things like that on like the character's nameplate, so that you can visually assess just by looking at the character nameplate anyway.
Right.
Yeah. A couple of things in chat. AV is saying, you know, you're not going to be able to look at the stats on the gear anyway, so why would a transmog really matter? It's not really changing that. It's not really hindering that, because you already can't see the stats. And I mean, to that point, you may know the base stats, but you may not know maybe my custom stats for it, etc. And Clash says, I'm fine with transmogs or not having them, pretty balanced. And you know, a couple people are like, no, don't pay for a toggle. That's just no, thank you.
Yeah. No.
And I mean, I get the desire to want to see people's gear, you know, for engaging, but at the same time, like coming from World of Warcraft where there's transmogs everywhere, I never cared what gear you had. I mean,
Right.
I honestly, the way that I did threat assessment is just like you're gonna do with the boss. You hit it and see how hard the boss is to take down, and you're doing threat assessment that way. That's how I've always done it. If I hit you a couple of times and it doesn't look like your health is going anywhere, you're probably way higher level or like geared than I am, and I'm probably not going to be able to take you down by myself. So either I'm going to be like, okay, cool, have a nice day, bye, and you can either kill me on my way out because I've already engaged combat with you, or you can be like, pat, that was adorable, thanks for the -5 points of damage because you did nothing to me. You know, and let me be on my merry way. Like I feel like it's going to be not that big of an issue in terms of, you know, that kind of thing. And I mean, I think that to your point, you know, with UE5 and like all these things with the Intel chips, the AMD chips, how well your computer is handling the processes, things like that. You know, I think that it matters with that stuff, and engaging in something like AV had mentioned 500v500. You know, you're not going to be able to stop and engage everybody's armor or like look at everybody's armor in a 500v500. There's a lot happening, and you're more focused on making sure you're staying alive and your people are staying alive, or the people that you're trying to kill are going down. And Fupo, like, I don't think it changes too much with the health bars change in chunks for Ashes. I would still determine based on a little bit of PvP, either if you hit me, how quickly my health is going down, or if I hit you, how quickly your health is going down after a certain time. I feel like that's a pretty good way to gauge, and that's just my experience with doing the node wars. Like, that's how I was able to gauge who can I pick off and who can I not pick off.
Right.
If I'm struggling, I call out that person's name and we pick them off together, because I can't do it by myself. But I mean, in terms of RP and stuff, like, yeah, I absolutely get it. All in all, like, I don't care if you turn off mine, but I understand the desire for wanting yours to look a certain way across all of them. Like, I have on my screenshots, I look like a tavern keeper, and on your screenshot, I look like, I don't know, somebody who's wearing a green leather top with some like black leather bottoms or something that just look horribly mismatched. And, you know, it looks awkward on your screenshot, but on mine, I'm pretty. So, I mean, I get that. There's also, I mean, going back to the roleplay side of it, if you're doing scenes in the game together as a guild, making sure that everybody's looking the same, so it's like that character is identifiable from one perspective to another POV. That kind of helps, I think, in that case as well. So the next part of this transmog conversation, this one's by Zeph, and this one is a slightly different take on it. Sorry, Avery says I'm a naked gamer, JK. So Zeph is trying to give players a hard choice on what to transmog. So the general idea is that Zeph thinks there should be a cost to making transmogs, i.e. when you finish getting this armor set that you got in the game, because it's no longer the best armor set for you, you could either choose to go and morph that into like breaking it down for the materials so that you can make a new armor set or go towards a different armor set, or you can take that same thing and process it so that way it can become a transmog, but it's no longer technically a gear set. That was the general idea. Either way, you get a transmog or you get to trade the item for stuff, and it's your choice. Overall, there's a mixed bag of feelings on this one. Some people felt that the hard choice was not very meaningful, like it was just there for the sake of having another choice to make, and others just thought it like made it just more complicated of a process, besides just being like, this is what I want to transmog now. And then still others, they didn't like it, and some did, like in general, like, oh, I don't like this idea, and some are like, I can get behind this, I think this is kind of cool. For me, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of like turning it into just an appearance the way that, you know, a costume is. But I think their hope was to make it not just be a gold sync, but like a different way of making it more meaningful. I think the attempt was there, but it's not really, until I can test something out physically like that, it's not really something that I'm really for, I think, at the moment.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was definitely a very confused forum. a lot of different responses.
Yeah.
I guess in my opinion, I don't really have too strong of a desire either way. Like, obviously I don't want Transmog to be a gold sync, but at the same time, if you want to Transmog to something, you're probably going to pay a lot anyways, because maybe you don't have it, or maybe you have to, you know, go clear rate on like an extra achievement level or something. Like, it's going to take money in its own way.
Right.
I guess while like gear changes, sure, maybe there could be something like sacrificing a piece of your gear to turn it into like a costume piece of gear, but I do think it makes it a bit complicated. I honestly don't feel one way or the other.
Fair.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it, but I think I like the idea with maybe a couple tweaks to it.
Okay.
Because for one, it kind of explains the how do you have this power but it looks like this armor. Is you literally dismantle one piece of armor to incorporate the styling into the other, right? So that I think helps explain it, but I think it would be more nifty and more widely accepted by a lot of people if it were you dismantle one piece of armor and then you get maybe 3 transmogs out of it. Something like that. That way you could use pieces of that armor and the styling to alter how another one looks, you know?
I could see something like that working. It's definitely more like a bare bones idea, I guess, right now, where it needs something more to make it more of an argument, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Noob the Gullible says we will also get gear dye too. So we're not limited to transmog. We can also wear the same color of gear no matter what the set is. And I really like that because I'm for both. I like being able to dye my transmog, but also dye my gear. So as a white mage in Final Fantasy, I often really enjoyed grabbing some of the bard or dancer stuff. And then I would dye it my white mage colors so that would be cohesive. And I would just have this cute little red and white outfit for my white mage, but it wasn't just white mage gear that, you know, I would be able to use.
You're definitely a white mage player. It's very obvious.
Hey, dancer was fun too, but not nearly as fun as white mage. Hey, Rikka, welcome in. Okay, so this next thing, I saw somebody talking about like factions of elves and stuff, wanting like dark elf as an option. Not quite talking about racial factions, but this post from Death Wish wants to talk about there being 2 to 3 factions in Ashes. That is a thing that they thought would be a good addition to it. Now I'm going to make a disclaimer. We already know Intrepid is factionless, and that is not changing. After all, this is way too late in the game, as one person commented, I think it was Narer, says, way too late to make such a major change, completely redefines the core of the game. So with that out of the way, this is all just theoretics. So I don't know how to feel about this. I was trying to think of a way to say, like, you don't really need a faction in Ashes, because again, Ashes is like this theme park sandbox mixture, and we are creating the content ourselves as as players. And I think the most important part with that is when you look at games like World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2, there's only so much content because the devs are constantly creating the content for you. And I mean, let's look at a typical stat, right? If you think of the new DLC or the new expansion that comes out for World of Warcraft, you know, you go through that in like a matter of weeks, like within a month. You've already completed the new content, and you're just waiting for new content to come out from there. So I think like our way of just pushing through content really quickly has made it really difficult for games to have meaningful content for us because of how quickly we just slog straight through it. So my adjustment to that was trying to look at nodes and these ZOIs as kind of like factions in a way. I don't think there's a one-to-one that you can do between a faction and a ZOI, but there's only 5 ZOIs. And the idea of a faction is that the better, what do you call it? Working towards the betterment of the faction. And I think as a ZOI, being vassal nodes and stuff to a metropolis, you want the best for the metropolis, unless that metropolis is not a choice pick, you know, kind of idea. Because after all, at the end of the day, once the metropolis is in place, it can then filter things down to the vassal nodes, such as, what do you call those? My brain is blinking. There are things that you can install as a mayor, like this is how we're doing it. There's a selection of options you can choose from, and some of those options come from the parent node and can go down. I don't know why my brain is blinking. I know it starts with C.
I know what you're talking
mandates.
about.
There's also mandates. Yeah, mandates. So like there's different mayoral mandates you can give, and I believe some of those mandate options comes down from a above node. And additionally, the XP can flow down. So to me, that's the closest I could think of. What are your thoughts though on factions and such?
I think with how Ashes is kind of set up, you're very much right. I don't really think we need a faction system to like force the problems that they're having in Throne and Liberty. In Ashes, there's so many ways to split yourself from another person. There's religions, there's your race in general, it's what guild you're a part of. It even could come down to what alliance you're in, what node you belong to. Like there's so many different ways to be like, I am not with this person or I'm not like this person, that it just splits it up so much already.
Yeah.
That and I guess on like a PvP standpoint, obviously there's probably going to be at least one server that's pretty much 100% all out chaos. They're gonna zerg anyways. It's not really going to matter if there's one guild that's going to just overrun a lot, because they can only expand so much anyways. So I mean, you're going to have everyone wanting to be the best anyways. They're just gonna eat each other up constantly. I don't really see it being a problem. That and the other nodes also grow too, like when your node grows. So I think the world's going to be fighting them, the other guilds are going to be fighting them, other nodes, other religions, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit the other day, Chibi. And the mention of nodes and their ZOI being a faction. I think it would be really difficult to get people like wholeheartedly into that. But Taco brought up something that I can't believe we didn't think of and talk about, which was alliances being the factions, because an alliance of players could absolutely just say like, this is our alliance, this is what we're doing, and we're moving over here and taking care of that, and this is our cause, and you could totally get behind that no matter what nodes rise or fall. And then I could absolutely be down with NPC factions existing with reputation, and there's ideally there's going to be a lot of give and take. Like they're going to have opposing factions. You start making friends with this one and the other one starts to hate you, so there's going to be areas that are going to be more difficult for you to traverse and others that are easier. And then if you try to do the whole World of Warcraft switcheroo where you're trying to get all the benefit items that you can purchase from one and then change over to the other, trying to change over to the other would be a very, very, very slow process with the one that started hating you. But an almost instant hate with the other one as you start to gain respect with the one that did hate you. As soon as you're not hated anymore, the one that you did gain rep with in the first place would hate you immediately.
Right.
So you'd have a kind of aggressive area and a very aggressive area right off the bat.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't really see a need for factions personally within Ashes. I think that there's going to be so much inner politics, guild politics, node politics, castle politics, even resource politics, even between nodes, hence the node war system. and there's just going to be so much that you can choose to go off of that I think adding in a faction element would also just kind of overwhelm everything. It's already pretty overwhelmed. And yeah, religion as well could play an issue with that. And I think that not saying issue as a bad thing, but honestly, you know what, you guys, I'm just gonna add this in here because y'all are already talking about it. It fits well with what we're talking about. And I believe you are in, I don't know if he's actually in the chat, but my bro Viero was talking about long-lived drama and Ashes of Creation. And no, we're not talking about content creator drama. No, we're not talking about guild drama, but like actual game drama. Like, when was the last game? This is the question that he's asking. When was the last game that you played where you felt like there was actually like a character growth within the game, or like a storyline growth within the game, you know, and that it's actually created like this drama moment, like things that we've come to experience from TV shows such as Bridgerton and stuff like that, where there's like these big like plot twists and things change, and oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was the bad guy the whole time. I thought they were good. When was the last time you had something like that? And I think drama like that belongs in the game and makes it more compelling.
Yeah, very much so. I think we'll see it in certain areas, but maybe not all. Obviously, a server that's very PvP focused may not see as much as, say, the role players, because they're like probably going to full on jump into certain religions that may cause things to, you know, have some drama with it. Maybe there's some NPC that goes crazy. God knows.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've experienced a game that has it, which is unfortunate because I would love that. But I do think that there's a lot of possibility for it in Ashes, obviously pushed ahead by player development.
Yeah.
Fair. And thank you for the sub there, old Greg. Much appreciated. Welcome to the
Thank
tavern.
you.
And a cheers to you. I don't know. I think, well, it depends on how you define drama, really. I mean, Viero mentions a couple different when's the last time, and a few of them have happened in a few different games, but not really all of them in one, right? Like SOTOR to me to this day is still the most successful single player but also play with your friends story driven game that I felt had a lot of drama, especially depending on how you progress your own story, right?
But
yeah, you had the choices and they mattered and they impacted your visual appearance and everything.
That I was gonna say, you know what the important part of that though is the player choice, the player's decisions. That's what really egged on the drama. And I'm hoping that Ashes of Creation's story arcs are gonna be player decision based.
Me too.
Yeah, that'd be neat. I mean, honestly, if Intrepid thinks, you know, 4D chess enough, they might start to be able to develop future expansions based on character or player choices within, you know, one expansion, and start planning it out from there. Like, okay, so what's going to happen is this type of event is going to come around, but let's keep planning for after that, like other events that are going to happen, and then we're going to change how it's presented to players after they, you know, choose how the server's story is going to present itself. Like, there'll have to be a lot of reactionary expansions, I think, down the line. And that excites me if they're gonna do, if they plan to do something like that. That'd be amazing.
Very much so.
The longest running choose your own adventure MMO ever.
Wouldn't that be one for the storybook, so to speak?
yeah, exactly.
Right. Noob the Global says, I'm hoping that most of the story arcs have multiple sides for players to choose and have PvP conflict within the storyline. Irish Viking says, the story arcs in SWTOR push the story in the lore of their world, not ours. I hope Ashes does the same. Leave our real world politics out and keep lore story intact. And I think they're absolutely going to be doing that because they already don't want real world holidays, right? They're going to have their own Varen holidays there, so it definitely feels like a very secluded instance that you're going into and engaging with, instead of just your typical World of Warcraft. That, I mean, sure, World of Warcraft has Father Winter for Christmas, but that's still engaging with real world holidays and things like that. And one of my favorite things, and I think if anybody were to ask me what my favorite thing about Ashes is, I feel like what Avi said and I added into it really, really helped. Really added into this. I'm trying to find it. Yeah. So Avi says, drama creates wars, which creates PvP. And the people fighting creates rifts in the world where a world boss gets mad at them. And that in turn creates more content. So my favorite thing with Ashes is that it is this real life world. Maybe not in the physical sense, but your actions matter. If you're questing in a certain node, there is an event that might occur because of your engagement within that part of the node. And then engaging in that event can assist the overall story arc because it's drawing your attention to the story arc, which then progresses the node, which then affects other parts of the world. And I just love how much there is like just a lot of emphasis on like your decisions and what you're engaging in, what you're not engaging in, how much you're engaging in that in terms of the resource management and being able to accidentally kill off like plants. Mm-hmm. Economic warfare, if you will. So I think a lot of that is probably my favorite thing about Ashes is just how in-depth everything is tied to each other.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how things go on a guild v guild level, but also in a player choosing their node versus their friend choosing another, or even I think he had mentioned there might even be religion wars. So you could choose one of them, I could choose another, and all of a sudden we were allies, but we're not now.
And how does that, affect the guild? What if I want to follow this goddess because that is what the pirate follows, so doing the roleplay thing, this is what I follow, but then my guildmate is, I don't know, a Tolnar. What do they follow? And are we going to be at war now?
Right.
Within our own guild.
Yeah.
But
either way, drama, excitement, difference between different servers, and just how players are going to impact everything, not by saying I want this to occur in the world, but by saying I'm going to do this in the world, and then the world reacts is just going to be fascinating.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. I think this is the first game ever. I mean, I say this with anime. If you don't like the first episode, watch the second and third episodes before deciding you hate it. Mm-hmm. If you don't like the first server you land on, especially if you're not tied to a guild, try it 2 other servers before you decide Ashes isn't for you, because the difference between the servers I'm going to project is going to be so different, so insanely different. How you chose to build up the server, how what races built up which parts of the server. You could still have Winstead built up, but which node was built up by which race, and what race options are there, and what is the nature of PvP on that server, what is the nature of PvE on that server, is it cutthroat, is it more respectful? I feel like all of that will change drastically.
Yeah, it's gonna for people who may have the want to have different characters on different servers, it may very much feel like a different game in some cases, depending.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, just because it was there was a question on it, I just looked it up to make sure I was still following along. But Keyboard Oracle, the looks like the Divine Node mayors are elected based on the citizen who earns the most PvE favor with the node. So gaining favor by working on devotion-oriented tasks and devotion to basically the religious systems in there.
Correct. That's why it's gonna be fun for me.
Yeah. Skull Prayer says religion wars are not in plans.
It's been like kind of people have talked about it, but it's definitely not something Steven has said. I just think that like maybe on a guild v guild level it might end up happening for sure.
Even in terms of roleplay, like within the roleplay community, even if it's not an official thing, like let me tell you, okay, hold on. How do I start this? Leave somebody up to their own devices and they will get creative. Leave players up to their own devices. They will cause strife where there is none.
Yes.
I've already seen this in the roleplay guild or discords I'm in. They're already fighting among themselves for no reason. Coming from the pirate who's lived forever and is like, why are you guys fighting right now? They will create events where there are none. So things like, oh, I'm bored and there's no event happening. Well, let's create a PvP event where we're doing our own arena, like without the official arena system, but like our own like guild arena or our own like alliance arena, battle of the alliance, things like that. So I think even if there isn't going to be a official religion war, role players and people playing the game will find a way to make it happen. Like
very much so.
Like, oh, you're following Shoal? No thanks. Snooty.
Yeah, right. I'm assuming there'll be some crusade guild that will be horribly just devout to their one god that'll just go after all the other ones for fun. Right? Or like,
how dare there be Tolnar?
That's gonna happen.
Tolnar are corrupted beings.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't start the fire. Yeah, exactly. Iron Coin. Iron Coin is intended on being a cleric only guild. So, yeah, exactly. Noob, because they're them and we are us.
Yes.
That's why.
Yep. That's all it takes.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm well aware, Fupo.
Oh, you're a Tolnar? Sharpened knife.
Yeah. Some of them are in good fun, some not so much.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm waiting to see the Tolnar guild that's dedicated towards driving back the invaders.
Yeah, that will happen.
This has been our world. They left it behind. We stayed here. We survived. Get off our planet. Stay away.
You think Vera is your ally?
Yeah, you think Vera is your ally.
There's been that talk has come up a lot in my guild, actually. Just because of like, oh, they're in our world and some of them are gonna come after us. Well, then we have to go back after them. Like, whoa, come on, take a deep breath first, guys. Let's wait.
Hold up.
Hold.
Lower the weapons. Oh my gosh. Pick me out if you can. Do you think the different races will congeal together? Will there be many mixed race nodes? I think absolutely there will be many mixed race nodes. And, Chibi, as a pirate, is very much looking forward to knowing about your culture and how your culture works, because I'm just a curious, lonely adventurer, and I happen to find this Beck guy who I think I want to spend the rest of my life with, or maybe the rest of his, whoever has the shorter lifespan. And we would like to make a tavern, so come bring us your recipes from your homelands and tell us all about your culture. We're so curious.
Yeah, this fact just wants to know what the constellations look like from a whole different place in the universe.
Well, you won't be able to see them in my underrealm, I'm sorry.
Darn. Well, maybe we can find a way to show you what the constellations look like even in the underrealm, like with drawings and stuff.
True.
The patterns in bioluminescent growth, though, can be just as fascinating.
I really hope that some of the bioluminescence gets added as like character creation features. I want it so bad.
Have you heard my take on that?
What's that?
I think for about 2 years now or 3, I've been asking, can I please have bioluminescent branchlets, like where the
Oh, that'd be
veins
cool.
are peeking out of the branchlets?
That'd
Like
be really
this, like
cool.
bioluminescence. Yeah, exactly, Noob. Taverns. There's so much room to make taverns amazing for roleplay, group fighting, gambling, just everything. Exactly. That's why we made the Golden Feather, actually, is because it feels like the best description for what kind of content we want to make. Things like, meeting people like Rikka and Pandemonium, Mr. Bach and content creation, as well as just the average player and their thoughts on playing Ashes. And speaking of the tavern,
Nice.
May I interest you in this lovely thing?
It's pretty fantastic, not gonna lie.
It is very nice.
That was created for us by Kash from Loreforged. He's been doing his word burning stuff and sent that over, and it is even more impressive in person, I guarantee you. The feather has like some crazy detail to it, like legitimately carved in and burned in at the same time. It's fantastic. We're super happy with it. Yeah. All of the Loreforged guys are like super nice and super great people.
They are. Is that laser? No, it's wood burning.
Yeah, using little torches and almost like soldering iron type tools.
And there's even like detail. I shared a picture. I'll share it with the rest of it, but like the detail on the edge here,
Very
where
cool.
I feel like he weathered it. So I really like it because you can see on the back. So definitely went and weathered this a bit. It looks really nice.
Huge fans.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Pyromancer Kash, thank you so much.
Ooh, Mione says, I want to see node development be multiracial, where a stage 3 dwarf node that goes stage high elf still maintains old dwarf buildings.
So like the expansion part would end up being high elf, but then the original previous to it would still be dwarf. That would actually be pretty damn nifty.
I like that idea.
For all we know, they might already be planning it to work like that, though.
True. Very fair.
Kind of hope so, because that would be really neat. It would also kind of go to show just the history of the Lulu. Why you have to steal the words right out of my head, right out of my head. Show the visual indication of history of the node. Yep. I like it.
I'm not sure if your name is Sale or Saleh. I'm sorry. Just because the second part doesn't look typical of English. I think the cutest freeholds map-wise, which will have taverns, will become the best RP tavern by default, even if their owner didn't plan it. I feel like that is fair. I feel like something to do with the environment that you're part of. That's why I hope that freeholds are customizable both inside and out. Because it'd be really nice to set it up the way I'd like to see it. Yeah, Noob, if the contributing population changes. But yeah, the nodes do get destroyed, so... As I've been saying, I'm in y'all's walls and now even in your head.
Is it cozy in there? Do you have enough space? I try to leave it as empty as possible in there, so there should be space for you. So get a castle, fair. It'd be cool though. High elves would knock them down if they took over. Possibly, yeah. So, do you have any other thoughts or feelings on today's show? Any other things you want to chat about, Rikka?
I'm mostly just kind of waiting to see what happens with Tolnar. Very excited. It'll be interesting. There's quite a few guilds that want a roleplay rivalry with me already, so that will be fun for the roleplay drama, of course. Quite a few that want to be allies, so they can have, of course, the resources in the Underdark. Or Underrealm, rather. It'll be all good fun. All good fun.
Yeah.
I think the big thing that's going to be a determining factor is we have a little bit of an idea for our guild type of roleplay, but we're kind of just holding it in the background, waiting to see if anything changes, seeing as Tolnar's kind of shaky in terms of what's solidified.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't be excited about. Let me in.
Yeah, right. Let me in.
We're right around the corner from a little taste, but question is how many people are getting more excited by the day, or more anxious and waiting for it, and how many, or I guess I should say, and compared to the number of people who are just like, I've waited this long, it's whatever. It's only another couple, like, month or two, or like, we're good. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind waiting. They can take the time they need. I would rather it be good than be rushed.
Yeah, I agree.
Waited this long, right?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I'm hoping that there's more revealed about Tolnar, like what else they're gonna do with that. So very curious. Very, very curious.
Very curious.
But if you guys haven't already, please check out our wonderful guest, Rikka, the GM, right, of Pandemonium.
Yes. I am the GM.
And, if you're looking to play a Tolnar, or if you have friends that are looking to play a Tolnar, and maybe they're not into your guild, they might be into hers. After all, it'll be pure Pandemonium, so.
It will indeed.
That's the rumor. Could almost say they may as well just name the guild that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a thought. I haven't decided yet.
Well, did you have anything else you'd like to put out there as like a plug for the guild?
Noob, I am a admin of the Ashes roleplay community. It's a second, I believe, roleplay Discord of roleplayers.
I have that link. Let me grab it.
Thank you. That'd be great.
You're welcome.
Just another roleplay community. Just another one. There's probably many at this point.
Another one.
Yeah.
I believe one of your previous guests is the admin with me, Dez.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you had him recently, or at least he told me he did, I think.
Yeah, relatively recently, just back in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
June. May. June. Getting my months mixed up.
There we go. I got it. Here is the Ashes roleplay community Discord, and I will try to look at getting that started. Actually, Vertek, if you want. So by the way, we're gonna end the podcast part. We're gonna sit and chat for a little bit while we wait for Tangents to go live. I'm gonna go see about making maybe like a post-stream chat live stream and see if we can change to that one. I've never used the thing that you're using, but are you able to
There's a selection that says change stream or switch stream.
Okay.
I'm just not sure if it will do that without disconnecting. But we can give it a go. We can give it a go.
We'll give it a try. If you are over on that platform, just as an FYI, just be prepared.
And I believe you can actually go into the one, edit the one that is live to automatically change over to a different stream when it ends. And
yeah, I can do that.
It might like rate it over.
Yeah, I can try that. Let me just get this together. But you two chat while I do this.
All right. So, let me just ask, how many folks that are in your guild are actually going to be dedicated to just Tolnar? Or are there some that are like, that's going to be my primary race for my character, but I'm also going to have this other one and this other one and this other one?
So the group in terms of my guild right now, in terms of who's actually joined the guild Discord, is quite small at the moment, but all of them are going to be Tolnar. There isn't a single one that haven't decided otherwise so far. But I have set it open for those who don't want to be, so long as they want to be part of, the chaos.
There you go. So there's not like an obvious faction of that's all I'm playing. Every one of my characters is gonna be Tolnar because they're amazing. I want to have a cat. I want to have a lizard. I want to have a.
I
all of the
believe we
above.
have one person wanting to play a Minotaur. He wants to get as close to Minotaur as possible. He wants to go super heavy armor with a two-handed weapon. My second in command is going Necromancer, and he wants to look as undead or demon that he can possibly manage. So everyone has a very good idea of what they want to look like at the moment, but all Tolnar at the moment.
Nice. Fantastic. Yeah, I've been going through bouts of being interested in Tolnar or not. Mainly because I mean I'm interested in the Vec because it's such a unique spin on typical races that you would see.
Right.
I mean, for one, with the backstory, orcs that are you know inquisitive and all about astrology, astrology, like constellations and such.
Mm-hmm.
And then also from the other side of things, you know, the trolls that have a different history to them than your typical troll that you hear about. Also, again, a lot more, you know, intelligible and intellectual.
I think I got it.
Think you got it? All right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've gone from I'm totally it's whatever, it's a Tolnar, it's a whatever, and then they brought out the minor reveals, the concept arts, and you know the heads.
Yeah.
And that made me immediately think, you know what, maybe I'm gonna have one of those. That's gonna be an alt for sure.
It would be fun. There's gonna be good customization, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Character creator, crossing fingers it's soon.
Soon
TM. But yeah, if you liked this, please if you liked this, please consider giving us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitch, and if you would like to subscribe on Twitch or become a member on YouTube, that would mean a lot to us. We are working on creating more benefits for those things, and that helps us do more things like the Guild Summit and commercial contests, things like that for the community. So we appreciate your support, and I'll leave Vertec to do the typical closings before we go into the post-podcast chat.
All right. So yeah, definitely make sure you hang out. It's going to look like we're ending, but we will be back right after. This is just to close it out nicely at the end of that VOD. And yeah. But thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Thank you for all of your chats, all of your chilling out for this long time. It's an hour of your day, or maybe less. Who knows when you got here? But it's an hour of your day you've dedicated to hanging out with us. You don't get the time back after you spent it, so we hope it was worthwhile. All right, everybody, have yourselves a fantastic Saturday. If you're not hanging out, if you see this on a VOD afterwards, thank you for also spending your time with us.
Yes.
But catch us live next time. Yeah.
See you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
There it is.